Hello, everyone. I am Lynne Babcock, the Southern representative on the NAFME Council for Choral Education. As part of our ongoing effort to establish relationships between the Choral Council and our constituents, we've created what we call a series of Fireside Chats. Today's Fireside Chat will feature our chair, the chair of the NAFME Council for Choral Education, Dr. Dean Luethi. I'm going to read you a little short bio about Dr. Luethi. Dr. Dean Luethi serves as the Director of Music, Director of Choral Activities, and Associate Professor at Washington State University. He received degrees from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, the University of South Florida in Tampa, and the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Before working at WSU, Dean was a high school and middle school choir and musical theater director in the Green Bay area. Known for his work as a choral pedagogue, Dean has presented research, workshops, and conducted choirs at festivals, conferences, and competitions in the US, China, India, Canada, Austria, Poland, and Germany. He is published in the Choral Journal and the Music Educators Journal. Dean's book, Aligning Voices, Exercises to Build Choral Musicianship, is available through GIA Publications. Dean loves to work as guest conductor, clinician, and educator, and welcomes invitations throughout the year. So, welcome, Dean.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? That's
Good.
The big question.
It's a rainy November here in Pullman, Washington. It's strange. It's a strange year all around.
Wait, that's an understatement, right?
Yeah.
So to get started, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on at your school in terms of delivery format and how it's working over there?
Sure. So WSU has decided that we are completely online. And so all of our courses, aside from a couple of exceptions, are completely online, and that includes choirs. So as part of my duties as director of the School of Music, I only have one ensemble, and that is our WSU Concert Choir. And so we are rehearsing remotely. And as a lot of other college ensembles are at this time, it's starting to get to be a lean time of the year because you have concert date, perhaps, which is holiday concert, something like that, which is maybe early December because that's when the semester may end. And then 2 weeks prior to that, you have your deadline to submit that for virtual ensemble editing and things like that. But 2 weeks prior to that, or a week prior to that, you have the actual draft submissions due. And so the actual rehearsal process of all of this stuff is done. It's all done. So now it's a matter of coming up with continuing some supplementary learning that we've done throughout the year on repertoire engagement, repertoire analysis, poetry, just doing a bunch of different things. We're, I think, sight singing a little bit better than we have in the past semesters because we're also focusing on that. So a lot of different and interesting things that we can do and we're trying to search out to do. And so, yeah, that's kind of what's happening with us right now. It's very strange, still exciting, but very strange.
We have to come up with a whole lot of new ways of approaching delivery of instruction that we've never thought we would have to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the purposes of these fireside chats is to give people an opportunity to get to know you and learn about some of your experiences. So could you tell us about your background? Tell us your background, where you grew up, how you became involved in choral music, and what finally led you into choral music education?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very small town. I think at that time it was around 7,000 people in eastern Wisconsin. So it was about 35 miles west of Green Bay. It was a ruralish town. Well, not most, but a significant amount of the students that went to that high school were farming community students. And so we had this really interesting community of musicians that was based mostly out of our schools, but also some local theater that would happen during the summer. The reason I mention this is, so I had I guess I was sort of a stockier middle schooler, and for some reason, the middle school choir director said, "Hey, Dean, I had heard I know that the band director needs someone to play tuba. So why don't you play tuba?" So I sat in the choir room, which was also the band room, and put a tuba on me and just kind of played around a little bit. And it really didn't work. But at the same time, then he said, "Hey, well, why don't you stay? We're about to have choir. Why don't you see if you want to stay instead of study hall? Why don't you stay?" I don't know if that was his design all along, but nevertheless, I stayed. I gained a friend during that process, and he happened to be in a community theater, musical theater production of Hello Dolly with his father and mother. His family was musical. And so he said, "Hey, do you want to do this too?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I started to do musical theater and I started to do choir. And I was always just sort of a rambunctious guy that at this particular time I could focus my energy on music, which made, for whatever reason, middle school choir director think that that energy can be focused into a solo. So I remember 8th grade, I did the solo "Where Is Love" from
Oh,
Oliver, unchanged voice.
okay, voice.
And then I thought that this was kind of neat. And so I continued on in high school. Um, and it was the Midwest. So it was both sort of what you might say is a concert choir as well as show choir. So I did musical theater, show choir, and then just was enamored with this. And so by the end of high school, I thought perhaps I'd go to college for music, choir, whatever, but maybe, just maybe, I'd be going to Broadway. That was, the back of my brain, whatever. Well, I got to college and immediately was taken into music ed courses because that was part of sort of the backup at that point. If I don't make it on Broadway, I can teach or whatever. And fell in love with it. And so that became my focus. It wasn't going someplace else to perform. It was to be a choir director. And so, yeah, I taught in the Green Bay School District area for 5 years, a year middle school and 4 high school, had choirs, directed musical theater, and then off to my master's and doctorate program. And yeah, been at WSU for 10 years now. So
Wow.
yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's, I love it. It's so interesting when we do these interviews, and I've listened to some of our other colleagues, and how so many of our paths are similar.
Yeah.
Sort of taken similar paths to get to choral education. Fabulous. So why do you want to serve this council, and what is it that you hope to achieve on this council?
So I'll shout out really quick to Debbie Glaze, former chair for this council. She did wonderful work in both collaborating with ACDA on a number of projects, as well as just simply good work on standards for choirs in K-12 education. And so shout out to that. So part of this is to continue that work, liaising with partners, whether it be ACDA or whether it be folks up in Canada, whatever we can do to align our goals. What I mean, I'm sorry, that's a poor way of saying we have goals that are in alignment. Let's celebrate those, and let's figure out how we can do that together.
Yeah.
So that was number one. But the other thing that I'd also like to do, and I think I can do, is help bring communication from the K-12 educator in, I don't know, let's just say a small town in Lubbock, Texas, that has some issues with how to deal with a particular situation, is looking for a resource, and let's connect that person with the Southern Division representative on the NAFME Council for Choral Education. And so there is definitely an idea that the executive director and president and society chairs and council chairs have an idea for what we could do in choral music education. And that's great. That's why our leaders are there, because they have ideas. That's why you elected them. That's wonderful. And that's why they're appointed. And at the same respect, as chair, I nominate like you, Lynn, because I think you have ideas for that your division could benefit from. Absolutely. And so we do have sort of these top-down stakeholders and idea makers, and that's wonderful. We need that. We absolutely do. But at the same time, we also need to open communication between those folks that are going through this day in and day out, and a way for them to get the flow of information up to us to be able to help them in whatever ways that we can. And so if we were to only take up the issues that we thought were important, there's actually something a little bit missing here too, in that I'm a collegiate choral educator. I've been a public school educator, absolutely, but that was a while back. And so whereas I think I really can help facilitate things, really need that information from boots on the ground, really need that information in order to know where to go and what to do. And so why I think I could be perhaps effective in this job, or what I'd like to do, is to open those lines of communication, make them broad, make sure that everybody knows how to reach their division representatives. And so we can facilitate that type of help in whatever way we can.
Yeah, and hopefully we can. That's the hope. Keep our fingers crossed. It feels like our colleagues really need those resources today more than ever, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to turn the tables on you, since you've done this to every member of the council.
Okay.
So Dean has this game called Toilet Paper Questions, and these are questions where you have to answer either this or that. And this will become clear as soon as we start this game, and it's very fun. We all had fun with this one. All right, so first question, toilet paper roll, from the top or bottom?
I tell you what, I grew up from the bottom, and I'm married now, and it's from the top. It's from the top now. And hey, that's the way that goes. That's the way that goes.
That is not what I expected you to say. Okay. Yeah. Next question, coffee or tea?
Oh, I start the day with coffee and throughout the day tea.
Okay. Hamburger or taco?
It's taco for me. Boy, oh boy, love tacos.
Yeah. Ocean or mountains?
Live near mountains now, and it's beautiful. It absolutely is. But being from Wisconsin and going down to Tampa, there's nothing like the ocean. There is nothing like being next to an ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. All right, book or movie?
It's a tough one, because a movie is accessible, quick, whatever. I'm currently reading a 3-part book series based on the 3-body problem. And it is so gratifying. It just really is. It is so deep, and it's just wonderful. I'll say book.
Okay.
I'll say book.
All right. City or countryside?
Mostly countryside. I'll just say this. Last year, I spent near holiday season for 3 or 4 days in Chicago. Holiday time in the big city. Ooh, it's gorgeous. It has some really great life to it. But in general, countryside.
So right now you're in a small college town?
Yeah. So Pullman, Washington, it's gosh, what is it? Around 13,000 people.
Okay.
And what is it? But nearing 18,000 students when they're all here. So
Wow.
it is a small town.
Wow.
I mean, we have restaurants, we have businesses that during the summer they shut down because there's no business for students. So small town. Yeah.
Cool. And you're over the border too from Idaho, right?
Yeah, Idaho, Moscow, Idaho is 8 miles away. So this is a gorgeous area. It's
Yeah,
beautiful. And although it's a small town, that's a benefit.
yeah,
But yeah, it's Southeast
yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, I was going to say you're in gorgeous country.
Yeah.
All right, toast or eggs?
Oh, eggs. I love
Okay.
eggs. Yeah.
Dog or cat?
My wife and I have two cats. And so yeah, they we can let them be for a little bit. Dogs, you gotta let them out and move on. So we're just, hey, they're fine. That's good. So yeah.
Love it. All
Yeah.
right, so we're about to come to the end of our little fireside chat, and I wanted to know if there's anything in particular that you'd like to say directly to your constituents.
Yeah. So I guess I would say a couple of things. First off, I think that choral directors, we have a really tough job ahead of us. During the pandemic, we just have such a tough job. If we think about in the best of situations, when we've been impactful as performers, let's just say as performers, it's not all about what choir is about, but it's one thing that choir can be about. If we are most impactful as performers, um, as choral musicians, we hope to be aesthetically changed by this music. And that is, we hope to feel something super, just strong,
Right.
something amazing from this. And only by actually feeling that, having an understanding for what that is, can we hope to convey that to an audience who will be hopefully aesthetically changed for our audience.
Right.
So the difficulty in that right now is when we in choir are doing community work. What I mean by that is these little choir games that we do, warm-up sessions, focus sessions, we play all of these little icebreaker games. It's all to build community. You're in a welcoming community. It's okay. I know that your voice, maybe you're not so confident by doing that, but being in a community, you can let go. You can absolutely let go. You can let go enough that you can be aesthetically available to be able to perform this music, to
Right.
be able to learn how to do that. But with COVID, there is so much blockage to this. There is so much blockage to this. We take for granted the amount of uh, community goodwill and the community tethering that we do to one another when we're simply in proximity, face to face, when we can see this person. And so by doing some things distant or remote or less rehearsals or only a half hour or 12 feet apart or all of this, we are losing something here. And so having this connection, this aesthetic availability sometimes doesn't lead to the most powerful performances, and that can be difficult. So I know that is a difficult situation.
Yeah.
We're all trying to deal with that. But the last thing I would say is choral educators and educators in general, it is such a difficult proposition. Our hearts are in the work. Our hearts are in the work.
Mm.
I don't know educators, maybe we do, maybe you do locally, but I don't know educators that treat it as though it were just in general, a 9 to 5. I go
Right.
in and I leave,
Right.
You're thinking about it on the weekend, maybe you're thinking about it at night. If you're not even thinking about it, perhaps you're grading, perhaps you're planning, perhaps, all of this. We wear this on our sleeve. We wear this on our heart. We're just into it. And because of that, and because it's difficult, we are feeling that difficulty, the inability to communicate, the inability to be efficient, the inability to give our students just top rate education. We struggle with that. And because of that, we are struggling all the time. We are thinking about this. We are in it. And I, I just want to say to educators out there, try to get out of it. What I mean by that is if you have Thanksgiving and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leave it alone. Go away. If you have Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or the week after leading up to New Year's or whatever, get away. Take some time. The weekend, can you set it down? We are in it. And the only way that we're going to do right by our students, I think, is if we can work to shut it off and try to do right by ourselves. What good are we if we're not feeling well? What good are we? So I'm trying to message that out. Let's try to be good to ourselves. That needs to happen first before we can be good to our students.
Yeah. Boy, no kidding. Well said, my friend.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for this, for your time. And Dean and I and the entire council encourage everybody to please feel free to reach out to any of us, any of your division representatives. Dean, would you be willing to let everyone know how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email address, we'll put it down in the comments too, but it's dean.luethi@wsu.edu. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I enjoyed this time with you. I love
Great.
getting to know you better. Having worked with you has been such an honor.
Well, thanks, Lynn.
I want to tell everybody out there we're in good hands under your leadership, my friend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for those of you watching, thank you so much for your time. Please reach out to your NAFME Council for Choral Education if there's anything that we can do to assist you. Have a wonderful day. Have as healthy a week as you can. And thank you all so much.